Welcome to Klamath Energy. We're glad you're here. While you're here, please work safely. Thank you.
What you're about to see is a safety video designed to give you an overview of our safety policies and procedures and to give you a sense of the hazards specific to our facility. So let's get started. We actually have two power plants at this site, the Klamath Cogeneration Plant, or KCP, where you're sitting now, and the Klamath Generation Peakers, or KGP, the small plant located down the hill. This video applies to both plants, so pay attention. There will be a quiz at the end of this training. Some of the hazards located at both plants are bulk chemicals, hot pressure steam piping, and live electricity, so always be aware of your surroundings. Klamath Energy personnel operate the facilities in conformance with the ISO 14001 environmental standard. We are committed to comply with all legal requirements, continually improve environmental performance, and prevent pollution. All facility work interacts with the environment for air emissions, discharges to water, chemical and petroleum product releases, or use of natural resources. As a contractor at these facilities, you are expected to work in a manner that minimizes impacts to the environmental dew waste generation and spills. Each time you arrive, you'll have to get permission to enter using the speaker box. Make sure you shut off your engine, or the control room won't be able to hear or talk to you. When entering or leaving the facility, please wait for the gate to close and maintain site security. If you don't know the person behind you, don't let them in. Do not use your cell phone while driving any vehicles or equipment on site. Also, do not walk about the plant grounds while talking on your cell phone. Park your personal or rental car in the visitor area. If you have a tool truck, you can bring it on site, but you must leave the keys in it if it's not parked in a designated parking spot. If your vehicle uses an electronic fob, you need to leave that in your vehicle too. Facility personnel may limit the number of vehicles on site. Sign in and out each time you arrive and depart, even if you're running an errand or going to lunch. The site may have a guard at the gate, in which case the logbook will not be used and the guard will keep track of checking personnel in and out. The logbook is a vital part of our emergency evacuation procedure. Before beginning work, ensure you get with your Klamath Energy representative to review the required jobs you will be working on. Smoking is allowed only in designated areas. All cigarette butts will be placed in the provided ash cans. Failure to appropriately discard cigarette butts will result in contractors cleaning up the mess on their own time and/or losing smoking privileges and/or dismissal. If you use smokeless tobacco, make sure you use a container with a sealable lid. Do not spit anywhere in the plant. Violations of this rule shall result in the loss of chewing privileges and/or dismissal. The use of drugs or alcohol on site is prohibited and will result in termination from working at the site. This is the control room. The control room is always manned and is the nerve center of the plant. All permits are obtained from here. Working on equipment that is not locked out is not allowed and is against OSHA regulations. Before you begin work on any piece of equipment, the equipment must be de-energized and locked out. If you will be doing any work involving sparks or open flames anywhere in the plants, you will need to obtain a hot work permit from the control room. Before you start work each shift, ensure that the permit is posted and the area is inspected for hazards by both Klamath Energy and the contractor. All confined spaces are labeled and can be dangerous. You should keep out of these spaces unless there is work you need to complete. If you need to enter a confined space, go to the control room and request a confined space permit. If hazards develop in a space, you are required to leave the area. We expect you to bring your own tools, but we recognize that there are times when you may need to borrow one from us. That's fine, but the person borrowing the tool must have the authority to replace the tool if it is lost or broken. Report all borrowed tools and equipment to your KE representative if they are broken. Borrowing tools without a Klamath Energy employee's approval may result in dismissal from the job. The Klamath Energy representative shall be responsible to check the contractor out on the safe operation of borrowed tools and equipment. Before using tools and power cords, ensure you inspect them for good working order. Never use a tool that is broken. At times, Klamath Energy may loan mobile equipment to contractors. If this occurs, contractors must have appropriate certifications and must be checked out by KE personnel on the equipment prior to use. Be aware that there are power lines and high-pressure piping at the plants. You must keep specific distances between the live lines and your mobile equipment to prevent electrical accidents, or the lines must be secured. Contact your KE representative if you are working in these areas. Most of the equipment and piping here at Klamath Energy is covered with insulation. Never stand on insulation. Work resulting in damaged insulation will be charged to the contractor. There is a minimum number of personal protective equipment that you must have. You must wear safety glasses with side shields, a hard hat, and substantial boots. If you are performing mechanical work with exposure to cuts, wear your gloves. If you are performing lift work, ensure you wear protective-toed boots. Earplug dispensers are located throughout the plant. Make sure you use them when entering any area where equipment is operating. Even when a plant is shut down, there is still operating equipment that requires hearing protection, including some portable power tools. The best safety equipment for your back is some good common sense. Lift with your legs, not your back. Never twist while lifting. Move your feet if a pivot is required. When lifting, get mechanical help if it weighs more than a 5-gallon bucket of water. All employees shall be protected from fall hazards when working on unguarded surfaces more than 4 feet above a lower surface or any height above dangerous equipment. Areas where you may encounter fall hazards are vaults, sumps, floor openings, or climbing on equipment. When using portable or stationary sanders, grinders, chop saws, or any other tools that throw debris, wear a face shield as well as your safety glasses. Workers using respirators or dust masks approved by NIOSH must be in an OSHA-compliant respiratory protection program with their employer. Prior to starting work, always take note of where the nearest eye wash station is located. You may need to use it. Klamath Cogen has eye wash and showers adjacent to the chemical storage and battery areas. Some electrical installations, such as motor control centers, have the potential for exploding or flashing due to breaker operation. These areas are designated by a red floor stripe around the hazard area or a red stripe on the door leading to a hazardous electrical area. To go into these areas requires wearing fire-resistant clothing with long-sleeve shirts. Qualified electrical workers may need to work on energized conductors. To do this type of work, you will need to get with your KE representative to complete a live electrical work permit before you start work. There are 3 types of barrier tape used at the plant. Yellow caution tape is used for the non-life hazard condition. You may cross this tape if you understand the hazards of the area. A tag having the hanger's name, contact number, and hazard is hung with the tape. Red danger tape is used for life hazard conditions. A tag having the hanger's name, contact number, and hazard is also hung with this tape. To cross red danger tape, you must receive permission from the person who hung the tape. Certain weld repairs at Klamath Cogen require radiography. When this occurs, the area will be clearly flagged with yellow and magenta rope or tape, and appropriate signage will be displayed. The control room will make an announcement prior to the radioactive source being exposed. Never cross the boundaries that are set up for radiography, and stay clear of these areas until the work is complete. When working off scaffolding, make sure to check the tag to ensure it has been inspected for that shift. Never work on red-tagged scaffolding, and understand the hazards when working on yellow-tagged scaffolding. Green-tagged scaffolding meets all OSHA safety requirements and is ready for use. Never modify scaffolding. Contact your KE representative if it needs altering. In the event of a fire, always notify the control room immediately. Fire extinguishers are located in various locations at both facilities. If the fire is in the incipient stages and you are trained to use the extinguishers, you may attempt to extinguish the fire. If you are fighting a fire, ensure you have clear access to an exit. Never use the hose and water systems. These systems are for professional firefighters only. To use the fire extinguisher, remember pass. P. Pull the pin. A. Aim the nozzle. S. Squeeze the handle. And S. Sweep side to side at the base of the fire. If you discharge a fire extinguisher, even a partial discharge, take it to the warehouse. Make sure to let the control room know about the use, so the extinguisher can be replaced immediately. Hazardous conditions encountered in the workplace require reporting to the control room in Klamath Cogen. This can be done by directly reporting to the control room, phoning in at 541-884-1495, calling 541-883-3118 extension 1, or by radio. All KE personnel have radios. The control room is manned at all times. The 541-884-1495 number is on your hard hat sticker. Please do not use this number for non-hazardous conditions. Know where to go in the event of an emergency or evacuation. In the event of an emergency, a PA announcement will be made.
This is a plant emergency. All contractors report to the conference room. All PKE employees report to the control room.
The announcement will also be given over the radios. Go immediately to the conference room located on the second floor of the administration building and await further instruction. If the evacuation plan is initiated, all contractors will assemble at the evacuation areas, and Klamath Energy personnel will take a head count prior to leaving the site. The head count will be compared to the sign-in book or the gate guard's log to make sure all personnel have evacuated. Listen to the PA announcements carefully, and you will hear what the hazard is. If you are working in an area where you cannot hear the announcements clearly, but hear it repeating, it means it is time to put down your tools and head for your chosen evacuation area. Keep your knowledge of wind direction up to date and choose your evacuation area wisely. For evacuations due to an ammonia leak, always go to the evacuation point located upwind. Both plants have flags to indicate wind direction. There are 6 evacuation points at the site. 1. The KCP administration parking area. 2. Just east of the gas yard area. 3. The KCP pond gate entrance. 4. The northwest corner of the KCP plant. 5. The northwest corner of the KGP facility. 6. The southeast gate entrance to the KGP facility. This gate has a combination lock. In the event of an accident or injury, stay calm and notify the control room immediately. Give first aid only if you are qualified. Your supervisor must provide a written report to the control room, and if you have to go to the hospital, you will need a written doctor's release in order to return to work. In the control room are a first aid kit, blood pressure tester, defibrillator, and an oxygen bottle. Klamath Energy employees are trained in the use of the equipment. Safety data sheets for chemicals on site are maintained in the control room. The SDS provides hazard information about a specific chemical. Both facilities use ammonia for emissions control of the exhaust gases. Ammonia is a hazardous material and will cause chemical burns to the eyes and skin, respiratory irritation, and death if exposure is prolonged. Both tanks have leak detectors that alarm locally and in the control room. If an alarm goes off at the tank, get away from the tank, warn others away, and then inform the control room. Make sure to have a copy of the SDS for any chemical you bring on site and hand it to the EHS engineer. Other bulk chemicals that are present include acid, bases, bleach, diesel, oils, and natural gas. Ensure you have a copy of the SDS for any chemicals brought on site. Provide the SDS to your KE representative before you start using the chemical. During the course of your work, spills of chemicals in any amount shall be reported to the control room. A written report shall be provided to Klamath Energy following the spill. Final cleanup of the contaminated area will be the responsibility of the contractor. Spills of chemicals can require reporting to authorities. It is very important to make sure your KE representative knows about all spills. KE maintains cleanup materials for spills. The materials are kept in large yellow overpacked drums and scattered throughout the plants. The overpacks contain pads, socks, booms, gloves, goggles, and disposable overalls for use during a spill event. Whenever transferring chemicals between containers or having open containers present while working, use the smallest amount possible just in case a spill occurs. Also, prior to starting work, block floor drains and storm drains in the area to prevent spills from traveling. For mixing or transferring small quantities of chemicals, it's best to perform this over a tarped area for easy spill collection. Get with your KE representative about how to dispose of the waste material. Spilled chemicals cannot go in the garbage dumpster. Klamath Energy has waste disposal drums for batteries, paints, solvents, and oily materials. It is very important not to mix wastes prior to disposal. Think about waste you are going to create, and then discuss with the Klamath Energy rep prior to creating the waste. There are spiders, scorpions, and snakes at the site. Be aware of these while working, especially at night. Wear your gloves when reaching into dark areas. Hornets and yellow jackets can also be found at the site. Do not feed or touch any of the wildlife at the site, such as deer or skunk. Be aware that wildlife can be encountered on the access roads and you are expected to avoid them. Deer that get in through the pond gate entrance should be reported to the control room immediately. Rooms at Klamath Energy having control system equipment are locked and have controlled access. The KCP control room, the control cabs for all the gas turbines at both plants, and the switchyard have badge readers with cameras. Klamath Energy controls badge access to these areas. If you have no badge or need entry, you will have to locate a KE employee to escort you. This is the control room. All lockout permits are controlled here. Working on equipment that is not locked out is not allowed and is against OSHA regulations. Before you begin work on any piece of equipment, go to the control room and ask for it to be locked out. KE personnel in the control room will identify isolation boundaries, take locks and tags out to the boundaries, make the isolation, and hang the locks and tags. Another KE person will double-check the work of the person making the isolation. The system is then checked for zero energy. Once all of this is completed, the keys will be brought to the control room and placed in a lockbox. A Klamath Energy control lock will be attached to the lockbox and the permit signed. The permit is now ready to be used. Contractors working on the system shall lock down lockouts with their KE representative prior to starting work. Then you, the worker, can sign into the lockout and place your personal lock on the lockbox. Keep your key while you're working. Make sure you understand the boundaries of each lockout you sign onto. After completing your work, remove your personal lock from the lockbox and sign off the permit. Performing hot work is a large part of maintaining the plants. It can be very hazardous due to the natural gas, gasoline, ammonia, and other compressed gases. Hot work outside of buildings can be hazardous because of the dry grasses. All these sources of combustion must be evaluated and protected against. If you will be doing any work involving sparks or flames, you will need to obtain a hot work permit from the control room. Set up your equipment and complete the top portion of the permit. Some things to watch for are cable and hose tripping hazards and hot work being performed overhead. Use danger tape for keeping others out of the area. Welding machines and compressed gas bottles are not allowed in confined spaces. Ensure your gas bottles not in use are capped and secured from falling over. Take the permit back to the control room and a KE employee will inspect your work area and finish filling out the rest of the permit. A copy of the permit will be given to you for posting at the work location. Before you start hot work each shift, inspect the work area for combustibles and flammables. Record your inspections on the hot work form. Ensure the area is clear at least 35 feet from the work area. If this is not possible, a fire watch must be used. The fire watch is a person responsible for manning the fire extinguisher while others are performing hot work. The fire watch must stay at the work area for 30 minutes after the work is completed. Hot work permits are active through the closed gate marked on the permit. Always return the copy of the permit to the control room for closing out. Ensure your work area is cleaned up following work. Ensure you notify your KE representative that your work is complete. A permanent hot work area is in the east bay of the maintenance shop of Klamath Energy. If you follow the steps on the sign and heed good work practices, this is an authorized hot work zone. All confined spaces can be dangerous. If you need to enter confined space, go to the control room and request a confined space entry. Confined spaces can be entered using either a permit or alternate entry procedures. Spaces entered using alternate entry procedures have had the hazards removed. Most confined spaces at Klamath Energy are alternate entry spaces. Spaces entered using a permit have hazards present. Both types of entries are documented and the air in the space is tested for low oxygen, flammable gases, carbon monoxide, ammonia, and hydrogen sulfide. Air testing is provided by KE personnel every shift, and the results are noted on the confined space document. Remember, you can ask for more frequent air testing. Going into a confined space using either method likely means that you will have to sign on to a lockout permit associated with the space. Klamath Energy personnel in the control room will determine which lockouts you will need to sign on to begin the process of entry. If you are going into a confined space using alternate entry procedures, the entry document will be posted at the entrance. You will need to abide by the requirements marked on the posting. Always ensure that the posted confined space document is in date. The confined space supervisor for this type of entry is the control room operator. In the rare case you are going into a confined space using a permit, the entrance will need to meet in the control room with the KE confined space supervisor and control room operator to discuss the entry hazards and work to be done. A rescue team will be on site during the entry. The confined space supervisor will be present at the entry location during the entry. There will also be an attendant at the entrance to keep track of who is in the space and keep the opening clear. Only the entrants signed onto the permit are allowed in the space. The entrants must abide by any requirements noted on the permit. If anything about the conditions in the space change while you are working, leave the space and report it to the confined space supervisor. Remember, while working here, you're expected to ask questions if you don't know something, or if something doesn't seem right.
Working safe at Klamath Energy is a condition of employment. If you violate any safe work practices or procedures, you will be asked to leave.
This concludes the video portion of your indoctrination. Now, someone from KE will go over the written portion of the training and answer any questions you may have. Again, welcome to our site. Work hard, but be safe.